Good morning, people. Today we got something good because we have got this parcel from MJJC, and what I do like is on the tape they've actually got the branding on it, so I think that's pretty cool. So let's open this up and let's show you what we got inside. So I've already cut open the top. If we rip this parcel up, we will see that we have got, look at this, this is cool, isn't it? Look, we've got a pressure washer trigger, which is pretty cool. Check this out. Check this out. It's a new bottle for the foam cannon SV3, because in my previous video I broke mine, so we have got a nice new shiny bottle. If I can get it out of the packaging, yeah, look at that. Oh, trying to break this one. Bosh, there we go, look at that. But that's not what I'm reviewing in this video. For this video we are going to be reviewing this, and this trigger gun can be yours from the MJJC website for £64. It is about £6 for postage and packaging, you know, if you live in good old Blighty. So let's open it up and see what it looks like. So there is some tape on the bottom of the box, but I will say it's a very nicely presented, and the box is nice and smooth as well. You've got all the instructions on the back, and what I do like, look, you've got the installation and demolition. Great word, isn't it? You know, not just, you know, take it apart, demolition. So that is how it comes out of the box. So let me just quickly put it together. So inside the box, I do quite like, you get the PTFE tape with it, and you can use that. You'll wrap it around the union on the trigger, so that then you attach this so that it doesn't leak. So that's pretty cool. I like the bags though, look, they're a receivable bag, which is quite a nice touch. So as I said, this should then go onto the bottom of the trigger, and the Karcher hose should connect to this. But the reason I've actually specifically bought this one is because I'm a fan of these quick tip connectors at the moment, and I think they're brilliant. So, you know, you whack these on, whack them off, saves you having to use the really big wand on the Karcher. But with this one, you leave this one in and you can twist it to the ones you want. So like, look, that should, you know, be straight. That would be like a wide spread, less of a spread. So yeah, that is the reason we actually have this one. And this is what it looks like when you've actually got it out of the packaging, and it's quite heavy, but in a good way. You know, it feels like a good bit of kit. Nice quality, you know, has the logo on the side, and it does feel nice. And this is good as well. So you'd think this is coming loose, but it's not. It's when you've got the hose connected to it, it doesn't kink up, so it allows it to swivel, which is really good. We've also got a trigger lock on here, so we pull this down and it stops you from pulling the trigger. And then obviously we've got the quick release tips on here. But this is what we are replacing. So, oh, once I hit the camera, this is the original Karcher hose. So if you do want to remove it, you just press this down and pop the hose out. And there's nothing wrong with it, it's just, let's try and improve it. So that is what we are going to do here. So let me whack the PTFE tape on here, and I will then connect this way around, hopefully. Does that fit onto that? I hope it bloody fits. Yeah, look at that, it fits. So let me do that. So once you've put tape around the thread, make sure that the nozzle is clear from the tape and there's nothing obstructing it. Then you'll get this, and then you will tighten it onto here like this. Tighten that as much as you can by finger, and then I use 2 spanners, but I guess you can use pliers as well. Hold the root and then try and tighten it as best as you can. Maybe try not over tighten it. But then once you're done, this is what it should look like. And as I said, this then spins, which stops the pipe from getting kinked, which is pretty cool. So then you're ready to rock and roll. We just push this. I don't know why I'm doing it so cat-handed. But then there you go. That is the finished product. So let's go outside to the car and see if it's any good. Actually, I've changed my mind. I'm going to start on these tiles, and the reason I'm doing that is so I can actually show you the patterns and the pressure differences. So these are the settings we have. We've got this straight one, we've got this 15-degree one, this 25-degree one, this 40-degree one, 65-degree one, and then back to 0. So that means we have 5 different settings that we can play with. So with the strongest one, which is this 0-degree one, if I show you, so I could draw his face. So that 0 degrees is the most powerful one, but it does only fire it as like a pin shot, if that makes sense. The only annoying thing is when you do want to change the setting, look, you can't actually do it with one hand because the whole unit spins. So you actually have to use 2 hands. I know it's not really a big deal, but just to show you. So this is now the 15-degree one. If I show you here. Next up is the 25-degree one, and that looks like this. So on the tiles, see, we thought it would be a good idea having light tiles in the garden, but then over winter they just get caned, so then you have to jet wash them off. And then it's pointless doing it when it rains because then they get dirty again. But anyway, that's another story. All right, so next up is the 40-degree one, and this is what that looks like from there. So how strong is it? Will it clean the tile from a good distance? So you start to lose the power or performance, as you call it, from the 40-degree one over what, about 3 foot? So then there's one more setting left, and it is the 65-degree setting. And that looks like this. Really wide. But even just from listening to it, I can already tell you that this already has lost quite a bit of performance. I'm going to move over to this tile here though. So for the widest setting, I should say. So the 65-degree one doesn't really give you any power performance. As you can, it's not cleaning that tile at all. So if I step back down to a 25-degree one, that does clean it. Now, something that I do want to quickly check, with the Bosch Aquatac pressure washer that I have, if I set it to 0 degrees, it is actually powerful enough to cut through cardboard. So I've got this one on 0 degrees again, and let's see if this can do the same. Yes, it can. So in this video, I will be comparing it to the standard wand head you get with your Karcher K4. As you see, that is the original one, as I did with the MJJC, and see how well I can clean this tile. So from here, so a bit of an unfair advantage towards the Karcher, where this does the 0, it does clean it. But then if we go to the first spread setting, which is 15, actually this bit is actually a bit more stubborn. So actually I think they performed pretty similar on their hardest setting, but with this 0 degrees, the MJJC one is the more powerful trigger head. So let's go out to the car and use this for what you probably would buy this for. Although it's not the most powerful, that 65-degree spread actually gets the entire car, look, from the floor all the way over. So I've got quite high hopes for this because I'm using an MJJC gun with an MJJC bottle, so this should be really good. Now, straight away I can tell you a problem. Although I doubt you would probably have your lance as full as this. That is really, I'm really having to hold that, you know, hold it tight. But let's see how good it actually is. And I'm never a fan of this as well. It's really annoying that it wobbles, you know. I prefer that it stays rigid, solid, if you get what I mean. Anyway, let's go. So the car is foamed up really well. Now look, I'm quite far away. I'm easy, maybe 6 foot away. And again, as I said, I've got it on the 15 degrees one. So let's see if we can wash it from 15 foot away. Obviously, if we do the 0, it will. See, I think that's actually pretty good that you can stand pretty far away from it and be able to get all the water off. As I said, don't use this 0 degrees too close. You don't want to cause damage, but from far away, I guess it's okay. Right, so the Karcher gun is on. Let's see if we can get the same amount of foam on the car from the same distance. I do apologise about the wind if it is interfering with the microphone, but okay, we've got it on the hardest setting. Now let's see how it comes off. So this does do the job from 6 foot away, but it does struggle a bit more. Just where the MJJC one has a pinpoint on it, it just can go so much further and so much more powerful. So the MJJC has performed only slightly better, not as much as I thought. So let's see if we can do some other tests with it. I can also do the trigger test. So like this, they're both pretty easy to squeeze. So let's see, just with my little finger. To be fair, the trigger on this one is probably just about the same to use. But if we then use my little finger to try and pull it. Yeah, I do think it's the same. Although with this, you'd think that you'd actually get more leverage because you're further down the trigger. But in all honesty, as you use it, your hand naturally comes up here, so you don't actually get to use the full length of the arm on here because your hand ends up here, not down here. So I guess that's maybe not a negative mark, but it's not easier to use this trigger than the Karcher one. They're about the same. Okay, let's time and see how long it takes to come off. So that is now 2.5 minutes, and that is what it looks like. So I'm going to time it again with the Karcher one. That is how it looks after 2.5 minutes using the Karcher lance, and to be fair, I think they actually do a pretty similar job. So for this video I was using the Karcher K4, but what I'm going to do now, I'm going to use the Karcher K2 with the K2 trigger gun and the MJJC gun. And do you know what I never actually realised? The K2 comes with the water pipe obviously, and on this one they're plastic. On the K4 they're metal. So yeah, even down to the pipe they're different as well. I didn't actually notice that on my first video. But anyway, I'm going to set this up with the K2 and we'll see if that's any different. So using the Karcher K2's trigger gun. Now, with the Karcher K2, you don't get an adjustable nozzle. So you see with this one, you can't change it. How it comes out here is your lot. You can't make that slower, you can't make it harder. That is your lot. Whereas with the K4, you get the adjustable one, so you know, you twist it, make it softer, twist it, make it harder. If we whack the MJJC lance onto the K2, it does do a pretty good job of foaming it up. And then to wash it off with the non-adjustable nozzle, where it hasn't got a big spread, it requires more effort to try and clean it, but it still has a decent amount of pressure on it. Alright, so the MJJC is now connected to the K2, that's why the hose is now black, and all the settings do work on it, even the super duper powerful, and it hasn't lost any of its performance. As you see, look, I can make lines. That's really going to bug me now, I'm probably going to have to clean that whole tile. But yeah, so even though I'm using a less powerful pressure washer, I still have good performance on that setting 0. So let me grab the foam lance and we'll see if it's any different. I did also have to stop the video because it started raining, you know, typical British weather. That's why the car is now soaking wet. But again, with the K2, let's see if this foam's up any good. So the MJJC performs just as well using the K2, and if I now turn this to 15 degrees, so you don't really see much of a drop off in performance using the K2 with the MJJC trigger. It is now time for me to conclude this video, and if you are in the market for a snow foam lance, this MJJC Foam Cannon Pro is the one for you. It's probably the best lance I've got, and regardless of what pressure washer I use or what wand I use, it always makes it look good, which probably isn't very helpful for this video. But anyway, for the wand. Now, what I will say, if you have a Karcher K4, I don't believe you need this, not unless you really want it, obviously. But the only real difference between these two is two things, because they put the foam on the car the same, they wash it off the same. The only real difference is this has a 0 degree angle on it, so therefore it's really powerful. But if you get a Karcher K4, it comes with the patio attachment anyway, and I don't think you'll be using the 0 degrees one that much on your car due to how powerful it is. And then the other main one is its size. Don't get me wrong, I prefer putting the short tips in here because therefore it's shorter and I prefer it. So that is really the main difference with the Karcher K4 and this, is its size. So as I said, if you have a Karcher K4 or something more powerful or something with an adjustable wand, then I don't believe that you need this. However, I do believe it's a different story with the Karcher K2. And the reason is mainly due to price. Now, the K4 is £210. That's the cheapest I can find it on the Halfords website. The Karcher K2, the cheapest I can find it, is at Curry's for £75, and then the spray nozzle with P&P will cost you around £70. So then if you add those together, it will then cost you £145. And then for a K4, you're saving about £60, £70 in that sort of ballpark. So if you have a K2, you know, you physically own a K2, then yeah, 100% I'd recommend get yourself one of these, because then you get all these attachments to use, you get the quick connect on it, and it's a good little trigger gun. However, do not go out and buy yourself a K2 and this gun if you don't have a pressure washer, because then the K4 is better, but then it is a lot more money. So if you have a K2, go get yourself one of these. But if you don't have a pressure washer at all, go get yourself a K4 or something more powerful, and then it's up to you if you want to buy one of these. This is easy to use, don't get me wrong. You know, I like it. I'm still going to use it because I've got it. Why wouldn't I? I like it because it's short. But then I could have lived without having these, you know, because that wand does it anyway. So yeah, that is my final conclusion. If you have a K4, don't bother with it. If you have a K2, get yourself one of these. So, hope you enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching.